Now, what's kind of crazy to me is how you had last night's main event finish almost end in exactly the same way as last week's main event finish, only in the sense of that the technique that was used to end the fight. Now, of course, the consequences were different, the stakes were higher, and the emotional impact was much greater in last night's fight. But if you look at the way Marlon Vera set up his KO of Dominic Cruz last week, you'll see that last night's technique that Leon Edwards used to uh, rip the title away from Kamaru Usman with only 56 seconds left to go in their fight was very similar in the way that he feinted the right, got his opponent to dip, and threw the left head kick to perfection. Lights out, right? Beautiful technique. Kamaru Usman was dominating the fight for the most part. You might have for a second thought that you had entered the Twilight Zone or Stranger Things upside down when you saw Leon Edwards take down Kamaru Usman in the first round, the first person in the UFC to take him down. Now, little did we know that that was a sign, a harbinger of things to come. He secured the first takedown. You had the striker behaving as the wrestler, and the wrestler dominating as the striker, even though he did have more takedowns and all that throughout the course of the fight. Now, going into that fifth round, you had Usman up 3 rounds to 1. Leon Edwards was all but demoralized, all but finished. And in that fifth round, it looked like Usman was going to just cruise to another title victory and retain his title. But Leon Edwards had other plans. He knew that you don't fight until that last horn sounds. And there was still less than a minute to go, 56 seconds to go, and he feinted that right. And Usman dipped to slip, and caught that kick. And it was over. And with the cool, calm collectedness of a cold-blooded assassin, Leon Edwards didn't even bother to follow up with any strikes. As he seen Usman's body crumpling to the ground, he knew before he even hit the mat that it was over. No more strikes needed. Job was done. He could jump to the top of the cage and celebrate, knowing that he had just changed his own life and the lives of his family members. Because regardless of what happens in the rematch, the trilogy, the trilogy that we're going to get, they're both going to make a lot of money on that. And who knows what can happen this time. Leon Edwards is the champion now. Usman has to climb back to that mountaintop where you had Leon Edwards from the trenches, literally come from the trenches to reach the pinnacle, the top of the mountaintop in the high altitude city of Salt Lake City, where every fighter seemed to be fatiguing unnaturally last night. Now, Leon Edwards said that he fought his worst fight and still came away victorious, and Usman fought his best fight and still left the loser. Now, that may be true, but it's also a slightly dangerous mindset to have, in my opinion, because now you're thinking that I fought my worst fight and I still won, so definitely next time, if the maths are mathing, I'm going to fight better, so the result should be the same yet even easier. Well, every night is different, every fight is different, and as anybody who was watching that was going to tell you, you just never know what's going to happen. Anything can happen, any strike at any moment could end any fight, and that was exciting. It was a thing of beauty, and most people weren't even looking at their TVs. Probably they were getting their next beer or bag of chips because they just figured that Usman was going to cruise on to another victory. Never cruise in a title fight. Never cruise in any fight. Protect yourself at all times. You see what happened. People are saying he got kicked into the shadow realm, whatever you want to call it. His soul left his body. Well, he's back. And we'll see if he can come back. And Usman, that is, and regain his status as pound for pound king or just his belt. Hats off to Leon Edwards for doing what he did, for not quitting, for listening to his coaches who were there to motivate him even though he felt defeated. He pulled it out, and that's what champions are made of. Never say die. I'm no expert, I just call it how I see it. And I'm looking to part 3, the trilogy, Besides, if it is true what Leon had to say, that that was his worst fight and Usman's best fight, where are they going to be when they meet for the third time? Will Usman be able to perform to that same level? Will he be psychologically compromised? And will Edwards be high on confidence? Will he be overconfident based on the devastating nature of his win? Well, we're going to have to wait and see, but it's going to be something to watch. Until next time, U-N-O.